We're going to hit the main points, and yeah, that's kind of the bottom line. Just get the information out there. So I'm Lisa, and this is Dr. Ryan. Welcome to our Monday live training. Yeah. All right. So did you guys know that the first signs of aging are metabolic dysfunction, and that 93% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction? These are huge, huge, huge numbers, and it's actually a very, very scary thing. So today we're going to cover what is metabolic dysfunction, for those of you that don't know, mitochondria's role in metabolism, because it's all intertwined, how to reverse metabolic dysfunction, because it is very reversible, and supplements that support our mitochondria, and overall, support our metabolism, right? So it is a lot to discuss.
It's a lot.
But if you guys don't already subscribe to our channel, please make sure you do. That way you can, you don't miss any of these trainings, right? We do these every single Monday at noon, so great stuff. And if you're a return visitor, thank you, welcome back. And if you're new, give us a 1 in the comments. We just love recognizing new people as well, because, joining us, it means a lot to us.
Sure does, for sure.
Okay, so, right, let's begin.
Okie dokie.
Try to begin this, sum it up in less than 30 minutes. Okay, so what is metabolic dysfunction? So it's ultimately chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Those are 3 major things that ultimately sum up what metabolic dysfunction is. And again, like I said at the beginning, 93% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction. So that means so many of us are going through life thinking everything is great, thinking we're healthy, but there are so many things going wrong in our body. And sometimes the problem is when they really appear, it's too late. And that's what we want to try to educate on so we can work on preventing that from becoming too late. Okay, so let's go through chronic inflammation. And you'll jump in at any point, but let me just give the basic definitions because I know you're really good at going deeper. So chronic inflammation, we all know what inflammation is. So let's talk about first like the acute inflammation. Acute inflammation is something that's good. Ryan talks about this a lot. Like if you cut yourself, the body sends a little bit of, inflammatory signals for healing. That's supposed to happen. Chronic inflammation is when your body continues to send inflammatory cells when there's really no danger going on. Sometimes this can be presented, a lot of times inflammation is the silent killer because a lot of times we don't know what's going on in our body, like I said, until it's too late. But it can be anything from, you can have sinus congestion, headaches, aches and pains in the joints. What are other common signs of like chronic inflammation on the base level?
Yeah, joint aches, probably the most prevalent, sure.
Right, low energy, big one.
Low energy.
And then we have, so that's basically our chronic inflammation that is constantly going on in our body. Our body is constantly sending inflammatory cells. And then we have, I said, oxidative stress. So this is an imbalance of free radicals and antioxidants in our body that ultimately leads to cell damage. Now, when I say cell damage, chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction all lead to cell damage. But that's basic with oxidative stress. And then our mitochondrial dysfunction. Our mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells. They die. They're not working. Things don't happen properly in our body. So a lot there, but elaborate more, less. Felt like we did good.
We're going to cover that again here.
I know. It's going to keep circling around. This is kind of like a little topic. So the bottom line is to understand what chronic inflammation is, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction are, so we can help prevent, reverse, bring awareness, whatever it is, right?
I love it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, so mitochondria's role in metabolism. So why do I bring metabolism into this? Because this is a word that everybody understands. Slow metabolism, you gain weight, fast metabolism, you lose weight. Yep. That's just like the common thought. But metabolic dysfunction has to do with metabolism. That's how our cells are working, right? That's basically how we convert food energy into cellular energy. And that's how our bodies work. There's 40 trillion different cells in our body, 40 trillion cells in our body. 40 trillion chemical reactions are going on. These all require energy that ultimately comes from food energy converted into cellular energy. So, right, it's a lot to kind of comprehend and put into a nutshell. But I don't know, did I say about the mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cell? Yeah, the
Yeah, you
energy
did.
sources.
Yep.
And then metabolism, that's our life force. Like our body needs energy to move, think, breathe, stay alive. I mean, these are all intertwined. So I want you to think about that when you hear about mitochondria, metabolism, metabolic syndrome, metabolic dysfunction. These are all related. So don't be confused that each one is like its specific entity. They work together.
Sure.
And all symptoms that we have, all symptoms come from cellular dysfunction. So think about, I'm talking about, I have a headache, cellular dysfunction, right? You know, anything that goes on in our body, sluggishness, brain fog, cellular dysfunction, all of these things are happening and we're not aware of this anymore. We think, I have a headache, I'm going to go take Tylenol or Advil to get rid of my headache. We're not stopping and being like, why do I have a headache? Did I not drink enough water today? Did I not get enough sleep last night or good quality sleep? What food have I put into my body that could be causing this headache? Do I need to increase my antioxidants, my fruits and vegetables? Do I need to get back on my supplement routine that I've fallen off of or decrease my inflammation? We're just thinking, I have a headache, I'm now going to treat it. So we as people, we are ignoring our body. We are ignoring our symptoms. These signals is our body talking to us, communicating to us. And if we constantly ignore it, we are never going to be able to establish what's going on and treat, reverse, prevent whatever it is, the metabolic dysfunction. It's a very sad cycle.
Yeah, and I often like ignoring, or there's somehow just accepting that this level of, low energy, this brain fog, lack of libido, low muscle mass, low motivation, suboptimal, just everything in life is somehow normalized, and it's like, well, it's part of aging, or this is the phase of life that you're 40 and on, and you start to, no, like nothing could be further from the truth. And I think like you said, Lisa, you're ignoring it, right?
Yep. And you can even think of examples like erectile dysfunction, infertility. These are things that are telling us that our cells are not, in that department of our body, our cells are not functioning properly. There is cell death. There is cellular dysfunction. Something is going on. But what do? We operate in the traditional healthcare system. We knock on the doctor's door and we say, I have ED. What can I do? Here's a pill. Carry on. Not, why do you have ED? We can't just accept the fact that it's because we're aging, because that's not, yes, aging is a part of cell death. It happens, but there's so many things that we can do to prevent that. But most of the time it's other things going on. It's how we treat our body. And I also want you to think too, there's environmental factors that we always talk about this, that we can't control, environmental toxins, that unless you're like living in a bubble, it's impossible. But these things also cause cell death.
Yeah.
And we have to control what we can control, because there are so many factors in our life that we can't control. And even stress is a major one. And we can control stress, but to me, it is one of the absolute hardest things to control, because it takes so much effort and understanding to recognize, work on it. It's a lot. So, stress does a lot of damage to your body. Different kinds of stress. So
you're on a roll. Keep going.
I don't know. So think about this. All symptoms come from cellular dysfunction. Every symptom you're feeling is a signal. It's our body telling us something. It's communicating something to us that we need to do something different. Listen to your body. Be your own
advocate.
Your own advocate for your
Sure.
own health, and stop constantly reaching for the medications, reaching for the doctor to help give a Band-Aid. We have to understand what is going on. And we're going to give coming up next, we're going to give some ways to reverse, prevent this metabolic dysfunction. And these are the things that I want you to question yourself when you have a signal, when your body is saying something to you and you're recognizing it, okay? So I talked about water. So ways to reverse. Increase water intake.
Okay.
So again, you get a signal, ask yourself, did I drink enough water yesterday or this past week? How have I been doing on my water intake?
Okay.
If not, amp it up. We also have our hydration amplifier. Amp it up, a hydration amplifier. to, help hydration. Sleep.
Real quick on the water,
Yeah.
It is so important that we focus on that. It's such an easy one to do. Many people are like, it's not necessary. My grandfather said, if you drink too much water, you rust out. This is just old,
Sure.
But really it's so true, especially as we were coming into a more of a modern era where there's so much pollution. And, you were talking about, it's not oxidative stress, it was the first one. What was the first? Low-grade chronic inflammation. Of course, look at the pollutants that we were exposed to. Look at the toxin overload that our bodies are dealing with, whether it's molds, mildews, just different environmental contaminants and pollutants in our water supply. Every other day you read another new thing where either the air, the water, the food, everything we're consuming and putting in or on our body is contaminated, so it's pretty scary stuff.
It's very scary.
Yeah, but solution to pollution is dilution, right?
Yeah,
there
exactly.
Increase that water intake.
There you go. Sleep.
Yes.
Sleep is tough. I had a bad night last night. Our kids started school again today. One of our daughters is starting middle school for the first time. My brain was going a lot. She had trouble sleeping. So I didn't get enough sleep last night. My body's going to send me a signal at some point today. Something's going to happen, but I already know. I already know I didn't get enough sleep, and I know tonight I need to pay attention to that. But that's just an example. But so many of us are not getting enough sleep. We don't prioritize it. We think, I'll be fine 5 hours. Stay up too late working, get up early. It is so important to get the adequate sleep. I cannot express that enough. That's 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's a must. So you need to prioritize it. We're not going to go into too much detail about sleep because we have a whole different discussion we did on sleep, and we'll do one again because it's so extremely important. But if you need some supplement use to help you with sleep, I'm just going to throw it out here right now. Magnesium. It's one of the most common reasons people are having trouble sleeping, and it's so simple. So we got to sleep. Calories. Make sure we're having enough calories for our energy expenditure, but also make sure we're not overeating in our calories. There's a balance there, right? We can't just not eat. For someone's telling me I'm never hungry, so I don't eat that much. Well, your metabolism, here's that lovely word again, is shot, right? Things are not working well in your body. Cell death.
Not entirely cell death, right? It's not necessarily that. Just there's a lot of inefficiency in the cell,
sure,
right? Because that's the second time you referenced that comment. I just want to make sure that's pretty
not everything.
Yeah, not everything is just cell death. It's more about sometimes these cells don't die, right? And there's senescence and these zombie things, but cells can become extremely dysfunctional and not go away, and it can create more of this inflammatory cascade that we were talking about earlier, which is another major contributing factor as well.
Yes. These two kind of go hand in hand. Increase protein intake, build muscle mass. Okay, they work together, but you need to make sure you're having adequate protein, and you also need to make sure you're stressing the muscles by lifting weights. It is so important to do this. Muscle mass decreases so quickly as we age. Starting around age 30, it's hard to prevent it. You have to work at it. We make it very easy with protein. We have 2 different kinds of protein powders. That's our chocolate whey and
this is supplementation.
Vanilla. Yeah, we'll get into the real ones for supporting mitochondria, but as I'm sitting here talking about muscle...
no, it's supplement to a diet is what I was implying,
gotcha,
you always say. Supplement protein
to a healthy diet.
In addition to a healthy whole foods based protein-heavy diet. That's,
100%. Yeah. Protein powders help, amino acids, essential aminos, building blocks of protein. There's certain things that we can do to help this process. So it's very important. And let me just stop right here as I'm showing some supplements. If you are new to us, check out www.livegood.com. You will see all of our supplements that we sell. We give lots of information on there, so make sure you check that out. So increase protein, build muscle mass, boost your physical activity. That all comes kind of again together, but you got to move, got to get out there. If walking is amazing. Don't underestimate the power of walking. Get out and go for a nice brisk hour walk. I don't care if it's hot out, it's cold out, it's fine. Our bodies are made to do this, guys.
Yeah, create that hormesis too, right? Put some stress on that body. Get that body into a state of resilience, right? Where it builds resilience in response to doing hard things.
Yeah.
Hormesis.
So I always say to our children, we were made to do hard things.
Exactly. Chop wood, carry water.
Find your zen. That's just about de-stressing. But again, find your zen. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, go do yoga, go sit in a corner and meditate. You have to do what works for you. You know, I mean, if going outside and getting some fresh air and just breathing in nature, you know, helps you de-stress, do it. But again, find what works for you. Create a supplement routine, which we are very good at helping with.
Yeah, we can
and I always say, I'm always available. Email lisa@livegood.com for more questions and help with this. But we do give so much information too on our website, as well as what we've already educated on our YouTube channel. So again, another reason, subscribe. And then there's also targeted interventions to help restore our mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells. And we'll get into that in a second. So again, these are things that we can do. This is lifestyle factors that we can do to help prevent, reverse metabolic dysfunction. And just want to quickly say something about metabolic dysfunction. I mean, guys, if you have anything from, insulin resistance, your HDL cholesterol is low or on the low end, your waist circumference is larger than it should be, you have
high triglycerides,
high blood pressure. This is all they're all parts of metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah.
But this is also your body gives you little signals before it gives you bigger signals.
Yeah.
And then before it gives you the most damaging signals that could be a heart attack and stroke.
Exactly.
So when we take a step back and I say you have to listen to your body and these little itty bitty signals that it's getting us and stop brushing them away or taking a medication just to get rid of it because it's annoying. Think about what it's telling you before it's that next step and then before it's possibly that final step where you can't do anything, about that.
All those physical manifestations are a large cascade of events that you have an opportunity to intervene at any given time.
Yes.
And there's usually symptoms and there's also signs. So, and another point to make is there's a lot of content that we've created over the last couple of years just on some of these topics, because this is a huge confluence of things, right? There's not just one thing that contributes, like Lisa said. So go back and watch the heart disease, cardiovascular disease Zoom. We did one on sleep. We did one on stress. We did one on healthy body weight management and body composition. We talk about lipids a lot, so triglycerides and HDL and LDL and the different factors. So there's all that there too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important. And while I go into our last topic, the supplements to support our mitochondria specifically, if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comments because after this, we will take those live, okay? As long as they're relevant to the topic that we're discussing. Any other questions not on this topic, shoot me up an email. Okay, so supplements to support our mitochondria. Now, I could go through and say every single one of our supplements will work on supporting the mitochondria, but we're going to hit home just like the basics of what you've got to do. And I always say this, there's things we want to eliminate nutrient deficiencies. This is our micronutrients, basically. Eliminate nutrient deficiencies, decrease unwanted inflammation, and load the body with antioxidants. When I say that, in a nutshell, it is so simple to do because you have our multivitamin. This is either men's or women's. Our vitamin D3K2 and our magnesium complex. So those three, because you will only choose one of the men's or women's multivitamin, make up our daily essentials pack. These must be taken daily. We've got to be preventing nutrient deficiencies. You can't just take these one day and think, oh, I just gave myself some extra micronutrients. No, we need to take these on a regular basis. This is a daily thing. And then also our factor 4, which is our potent anti-inflammatory. Factor 4 contains your omegas, your fish oil, your CoQ10, your turmeric, and your garlic. And this is a daily dose. It is all in one gel cap, which is so amazing because you can eliminate taking multiple bottles and you're getting enough of each one. Okay, so that again is decreasing that unwanted inflammation, decreasing the unwanted inflammation and eliminating nutrient deficiencies. And then when I say to load the body with antioxidants, guys, this is going to help prevent that oxidative stress, reverse it. Super greens and super reds, organic super greens and super reds. Also eating your whole foods, vegetables, fruits on a regular basis. Again, supplementing super greens and super reds on top of eating those very healthy organic whole fruits and vegetables. And then we have our methylene blue. And then I'm going to have you hit home on this a little bit. So methylene blue is targeted to help restore the mitochondria. So Very, very, very important. And not many people don't know about methylene blue, but if you know about it, you know how good it is and how important it is to help prevent reverse metabolic dysfunction.
Yes, for sure it is. So, yeah, just thinking about how much was just said over the last few minutes, Val. All right, awesome. So as far as like talking about methylene blue, I have to back up a little bit and just really kind of dive into like what you said about metabolism being, let's just call that the cornerstone of this discussion, because it's such a vast array of chemical reactions that are going on, and it's dependent on so many vitamins, minerals as cofactors. You need amino acids as the building blocks for developing your proteins, for your nucleic acids, so your DNA, your RNA, for your lipids, or you need lipids as well. But you have all of these very important vitamins, minerals, whether they're essential or non-essential. The body depends on them because it is such an incredibly complex set of chemical reactions that is going on in the body. So I just want to make that like so important. It's so important to understand that just foundationally, because you talked about micronutrient, which is your vitamins and minerals. That's where you can really get the hero. I wish it all came from our food sources. It doesn't, and the numbers dictate like 9 out of 10 people are deficient in at least one vitamin or mineral. Then there's the macronutrient aspect. So you need your proteins, right? Your proteins are not necessarily your energy source. They're really there to provide the building blocks for everything else, like we just talked about. So you got your muscle protein synthesis. You need to build and maintain that lean muscle. That's how you'll improve your metabolic function. That is absolutely for sure. That is a fact. Then you have the building blocks for hormones. We didn't talk about hormone health because it's not the focus today, but it's a huge aspect of metabolic health. Mm-hmm. Then there's the enzymes, which we talk about. Just you could have dietary enzymes in your stomach, your mouth, but you also have really important enzymes that protein can help manufacture that are responsible for the electron transport chain and the whole thing in the Krebs cycle and the whole thing in the mitochondria. That's where our ATP is generated. What is ATP? That's our energy currency. That's the stuff that literally the organelle mitochondria is trying its hardest, and we're expecting a lot out of it to produce. So yeah, I mean, you've got a lot going on here when you start talking about the function of mitochondria. But basically, it comes down to everything, and I love how you simplified it. It was an awesome job because such a confusing, such a complex topic, and in so many ways you can just become inundated with information and just be like, all right, so what was that again? What was that whole thing? Is this high school biology again all over where we're talking about organelles and cellular health and electron transport? And the only reason we use those words is because we want you to set, like, if it's something you have interest in, it's something that you can Google search. It is something that you can then read in layman's terms. Even with AI nowadays, you can read so much, whether you trust it or not, but there's so much out there you can read. I usually caution you on Google searches because there's so much bad misinformation. I like to refer back to clinical resources and such, but yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it. But let's talk about methylene blue. We are talking about, again, metabolism is the word, but that's two things. It's catabolism and anabolism. So catabolism is the breakdown. Anabolism is the build up. So think anabolic. Anabolic steroids, they build you up, they make you strong. All it is really is just a transfer of energy. And the fact is, as we age, we lose the ability to transfer that energy from food energy, like you said, from food into chemical energy. And over time, it accelerates because we expose ourselves to repeated exposure to the same crappy, shitty processed foods, the toxins in our environment. We're not paying attention. We're just continuing to layer on whatever it is, bad skincare, artificial fragrances in our house. You can name 50 probably off the top of your head.
Anything. It's like from what you put in your body, what you put on your body, what you have in your home. I mean, it's everything. I put that up there for methylene blue.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you layer on all of this repeated exposure to things that are stressing our system. And there was one comment in here earlier, but I made a comment earlier that cells don't necessarily always die. They just kind of become deactivated and get in the way of things. And this comment came through, let's increase apoptosis, which is the programmed cellular death. Yes, that is what we ultimately want. We want the body to say, the cell has reached its limit, bye, you're dead, we're going to kill you, we're going to eat you, gobble you up, and you're gone, and you go out as waste, and you make new. It's a great, great process. There is a lot of homeostasis in the way our body works. It really will. Like, as an example, your body is, if it's not getting the nutrients like Lisa talked about, it will suck them out of the body. It'll take them from your bone, it'll take them from your muscle, and it'll do it in short order because it's going to prioritize the brain, it's going to prioritize the heart, it's going to prioritize making sure that it has the enzymes, the hormones, the neurotransmitters, all that in place. So it'll start to break down those tissues because it needs to free up the amino acids, as an example. So there's a whole lot of ways the body works harder to preserve itself, but it's going to stress. It's going to stress big time on its way there. So that's why it's really important to stay ahead of it. Stay ahead of that curve. Don't let your body get to that stage. Right. It has been talking to you the whole time. It's letting you know, hey, you've been playing pickleball for 4 straight hours. Your hamstrings are really tight. Your joint hurt. Your ankle hurt. Maybe now's the time to take a break and go home.
Have some hydration amplifier.
Sit in the shade, stretch it out, go home.
Yeah.
It's just talking to you, people. Like, listen to what it's saying. It's screaming loud and clear. You go to a physician, if they ask the right questions, they're going to be, oh my gosh, yes. But they're not typically asking those questions. They're more concerned about, well, your blood sugar is X, so now here's your anti-diabetic medication.
And a lot of times, like, just because you brought up doctors, we don't go to the doctor for these baby signals that we get. We go for the bigger ones. But don't ignore your body. Don't ignore those baby ones. When talking about methylene blue, Melanie's asking, can I take methylene blue every other day and then take a break for 30 days? So, yes, the bottom line is, like, you want to give your body a break. You don't want your mitochondria to rely on methylene blue, but you want to use methylene blue to stimulate the mitochondria.
And let me dive on that real quick, just because methylene blue, this is where I was kind of going, and I always do that, tend to stray and wander off like a demented patient. But it really is, so methylene blue is cool because, forget the history, there's tons of history, but it's a redox agent. So it's an electron donor, or it can possibly be as an electron recipient and recycle electrons. But I said earlier about mitochondria and the electron transport chain generating ATP. So your body's stressed over time. The organelles aren't working as properly. There's not as many of them. There's typically 1,000 to 2,000 mitochondria per cell, I think. I think the heart has like 5 times that many, but because the heart and the brain are high energy demand centers. So methylene blue works as this redox agent where it can actually supply the mitochondria with the fuel it needs to complete its mission. It does it in a number of different ways. So yes, the reason what Lisa's saying is don't rely on it full on wholeheartedly every single day ever, is because you want to prompt the mitochondria back to an optimal state. Now, you're not going to get there by taking mitochondria 15 days on, 15 days off, and not changing any of your dietary habits. You just won't do it. It's not a magic bullet. So yeah, every other day for 30 days, and then 30 days off is fine. As long as you're doing it and answering the call, doing the hard work, putting the effort in. And it might mean spending a little bit more money on better food and on things like that. But maybe you'll save money because you're not dining out as much. You're not relying on some of those crappy processed foods. You can affordably food prep at home and save money compared to what the prices I'm seeing with these high processed fast foods. So the point of the story is, yes, of course, do what works for you with methylene blue. Don't do it every single day forever. That's not the plan. So restoring normal mitochondrial function will be the best decision you've ever made. If you think about that every time you feel something funny in your body, or there's a sign or a symptom that you're feeling, and you think back, how do I focus on the root cause? How do I get to the core of this issue that I'm feeling or this problem? You're probably going to go back to a cellular level, even though you're not a cellular biologist. Like, you're just going to think, you know what? There's probably some inflammation that's been going on here. There's some oxidative stress. My cortisol has been too high because my stress isn't managed properly. I'm not sleeping. Oh, that's probably another reason why I'm getting all this added cortisol. Oh, like there's things that start to happen, and you're like, okay, cool. Now I'm with it. But if you don't do that and 15 years, 20, 25 years go by, maybe some of those, now you're at risk for some of those epigenetic issues, right? Where maybe they wouldn't have been expressed, but because you haven't been paying attention, now they get expressed. So you'll see neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So now you're in that very scary part of life because a lot of those signs and symptoms for 15 years were not being paid attention to.
Right.
So that's the message today, guys.
Yes.
We can reverse it to some extent. We can expect normal deterioration with age. Age is a number one risk factor for chronic disease, for aging, whatever, you name it. But we can do our part, and methylene blue and some of these supplements absolutely can play a nice role in that mission.
Yeah. So hopefully, from your takeaway today is like a wake-up call. Just like a wake-up call to recognize these little signals that our body communicates to us. Every little signal means something's going on. Every department of your body can have cellular dysfunction going on, and it's going to give you that signal coming from that department of your body. So just be aware, be your own advocate. It is so important, and let's stop reaching for the medication bottle just because our body's giving us a signal. Take that signal and figure out what's going on, and go through those lifestyle factors that I listed on how to prevent, reverse, how to listen to this signal and treat it, right? And take care of your body. So again,
all right.
Make sure, follow, like, comment, always appreciated. There were some questions on here that really were not relevant at all to the topic. So again, reach me via email. I am always available. And check out our website, livegood.com, so you can learn all about what else we offer.
Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Okay,
Have
bye,
an awesome
guys.
day. See ya.